Guidance is internal. Ignition sequence starts. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Permission to board. Permission to come aboard. Permission to board. Permission to bring me aboard. Permission to come aboard.
Welcome to the Permission Granted podcast. Here's DA.
All right, welcome inside the newest edition, the newest installment of the Permission Granted podcast. Excited for this one. Mraz and Brock will be coming up a little bit later on in the podcast. As we always remind you, you can subscribe to us using YouTube or we are online on iTunes and then also on SoundCloud. The DA Show is the easiest way to find us in all those places. YouTube.com/The DA Show. iTunes, just type in DA's Permission Granted podcast. Easy to find there, and same with SoundCloud, The DA Show. So this is exciting for me because I grew up as a huge Star Wars fan, and Mraz and Brock always make fun of me, but they're younger than I am. I'm 35 years old. So when I was, my Star Wars fandom probably goes back to, 82 maybe, with the Laserdisc release of Empire Strikes Back. My family, we only had a VCR. Our first VCR was in 85. But my uncle had a Laserdisc player. And so he made dubs because I had an older cousin, Mike, who was 7 years older than I was, or 6 years older than I was. So he grew up watching them in the theater. I was too young for that. The first one came out before I was born in 77. Then the second one, Empire, came out when I was 2. Then I did go to see Return of the Jedi in 83 in the theater. But me and my brother, who's 4 years younger than I am, we grew up watching the VHS tapes, the dubs of my uncle's Laserdiscs, every single day. I mean, we would watch one of the three, Star Wars, Empire, or Jedi, at least once a day, I would imagine. So we just, the fascination as kids with this universe. Well, then the prequels come, and they just suck ass. I mean, they're just the worst thing ever. The George Lucas prequels are so bad, it almost makes you wonder if he knew they were bad and was just shoving it in people's faces. So now we have a reboot, and the reboot is taken over by Disney. And obviously you have a lot of concern, that it's going to be Disney Star Wars, which will suck. Well, the trailer came out last week and kind of lit the internet on fire. And everyone is really optimistic, and it looks pretty cool. It's going to be directed by J.J. Abrams. And so there's a lot of optimism. A guy who absolutely loves Star Wars and has done reviews on this trailer and has a Facebook page devoted to reviewing Star Wars stuff and is just the ultimate fan is a guy who goes by the pen name Hello Greedo. And he joins us here on the Permission Granted podcast. What's up, buddy?
Not much. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. For just to give people the background, your Twitter page, your banner is a bunch of stormtroopers dressed in normal attire camping. One guy has
correct.
He's got like a cup of coffee, and then your avatar on Twitter is a stormtrooper in a Hawaiian shirt. So that gives you some insight here.
Yeah. So the whole thing is a scotch sipping suited stormtrooper. That's the gimmick of it.
It's great. And so you have a Facebook page, you have all these videos reviewing stuff and kind of skits about Star Wars, everything in Stormtrooper gear. So is a Stormtrooper your favorite character from Star Wars?
Yeah, I'm actually a part of a charity organization called the 501st, and we kind of go to hospitals and whatnot. So I get together with my buddies, and we dress up.
And does everybody dress up as a Stormtrooper?
No, everybody kind of has. You can dress up as any Star Wars film villain, basically.
Any villain. You can't be a hero.
Correct. Yeah, there's another organization called the Rebel Legion, and it's kind of our sister organization, but they're all the heroes. So.
And how popular, I guess, is Boba Fett? He always seems to be the most popular of the villains.
Yeah, he's pretty popular.
And have we just erased the prequels from like all of these types of things, or only done in jest? Like there can't be anybody that's seriously dressed up like Jar Jar Binks, right?
No, not. It's all a spoof, really, to people that dress up in Jar Jar Binks, ironically. So. Yeah,
because everybody hates his guts.
Yeah, they do.
All right, so take me back to when you first realized, not that you were a fan of Star Wars, because we all watched the originals as kids, and that's where we all got involved. But few of us take it to the extent that you've taken it to. So when were you like, holy crap, I love Star Wars, and I'm going to carry this over into my adult life?
Well, I was actually in the military, and I got out, and I found myself very bored. And that's about the time the Blu-ray releases were coming out, and I found out they were going to make a lot of changes to them. So I literally just kind of wrote a script, set up the camera, and started, going on my nerd rage. And that's pretty much what kickstarted the YouTube channel.
And personally, I love it because you share a lot of the same frustration that we all do, including myself, about the prequels.
Sure.
And so, how much outpouring of the support did you get from Star Wars fans that were like, "Yeah, I hate George Lucas and what he did," just like you said?
Right. It's very mixed reviews. A lot of the younger generation finds my videos kind of repulsive, and the older fans, I'm assuming like us, really connect with them. They like the points. They despise the special editions, and they think the prequels were just, the biggest disappointment in movie history, really.
So does it make you wonder, because I've wrestled with this as well. Me and my brother grew up watching the originals, and we had them on VHS because we didn't even see them in the theater, and we just watch them over and over and over again. And so
Right.
the prequels, inevitably, were never going to live up to that. And when I hear that the younger generation like the prequels, I go, am I just being a sour old curmudgeon that can't, it's like back in my day it was better, or do those really suck as bad as I think, and the new generation just doesn't understand how bad they suck? Are we?
Yeah, I've thought about myself the same way, honestly. Am I getting older, or are these just really that bad? It goes, it looks like a PlayStation 2 video game. All of the prequels just look like, PlayStation 2 graphics. They just don't feel real. It's not the same as the original trilogy. A lot of people don't know this, but George Lucas only directed the first Star Wars. He did not direct The Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. So maybe that's why, those two were so great. but then, he had full control during the prequel time, and that's kind of where things went sour in a lot of people's opinions.
What's startling is that he is so defiant that they are improved, that they are better, that this was the true vision. And you see, I kind of debate whether he's just so stubborn and he knows that he's wrong, but he will not give the public any peace of mind on that. He will not concede an inch. Or could he really believe that those are better versions? You have changes that I don't mind, like the color enhancement, the quality of the film, upgrading it. And then there's changes that just completely change the very fabric of a character's being, like Han Solo not shooting first. That's the biggest one that everybody talks about. But I usually give the man the benefit of the doubt and say that, he does it for, good reasons in his own heart. But everybody hates it, and it's just kind of sad because we fans have been pleading for the original theatrical release since 1997 when the special edition started coming out, and it's just our complaints have just fallen on deaf ears. It's kind of sad in a very geeky way. It's also a little scary because it reminds you of kind of a genius that was given too much and then either lost his way or because he has been kind of saluted so much, his ego grew so big that he became blind to everything. And the fact that he is hiding the original versions almost makes you feel like he's doing it almost out of spite, unless it's just pure ego.
Yeah, a good analogy to it is that he became his own Darth Vader. He started out as this young filmmaker with wide eyes, ready to tackle the world. He got power. He wanted more power, and then he became the ultimate master of his little sandbox that he created. And it's sad that we have to talk about the man, so much, but it's just a shame that, he won't answer the fans' calls, and so he's done it to himself, and.
Yeah, it's a good background, though, to also talk about the next version of Star Wars, because obviously it all comes from his mind, that this huge franchise and pop culture phenomenon and things that really alter people's lives. Now, I love the films. Obviously, you do as well. There are people, and I don't know, you might be one of these people, that kind of use Star Wars as like life lessons and kind of a way of being. And I mean, whether you think that that's crazy or not, that's a real part of this, right? I mean, the Star Wars culture, for those that don't understand, there is an entire segment of the population that I would say probably between the ages of 30 and 45 that really use this as kind of a morality, right, on a daily basis.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's very difficult for me not to quote a Star Wars quote from the movies in my everyday life. It's interesting. There was a census over in the UK that everybody took, and I want to say 6,000 people for their religious beliefs. They wrote down Jedi, and I think that that kind of talks exactly about what you're speaking of. It's kind of funny.
So with that as the background, have you been encouraged and optimistic before you saw the trailer? Because I know you're happy about the trailer. Were you encouraged that now Disney was going to take this thing over, or were you worried and paranoid?
I was worried at first, and then I found out, for one, they have Lawrence Kasdan, who actually wrote The Empire Strikes Back, and he wrote Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones. They have him on board as the writer, as a screenwriter, and then I found out they got J.J. Abrams, and I was completely ecstatic. I love his Star Trek reboot. It's fast and fun, just like the original Star Wars were. So I was cautiously optimistic, and then after seeing the teaser trailer, I can't say enough happy things. I mean, honestly.
I know. Now, you were really enthusiastic about the trailer, and I liked it, but I'm cautiously optimistic because it's only, as you mentioned, a minute and a half. And there still is there's a bit of a pit in my stomach because it's being taken over by a giant media conglomeration, and you just feel like at some point it's going to be kind of cheesy or way too mainstream, or something is going to go wrong about it. But you really don't have any of these concerns.
Well, I guess, you look at it when it was in George Lucas's hands and what the product that we got. Now it's in Disney's hands. And I think they understand what made Star Wars great. I don't think George Lucas ever really understood from a fan's perspective what made Star Wars so important to everyone. But the team behind, Episode 7, I think they get that, honestly.
What worries me a little bit is that are they going to try to make a movie every single year? Doesn't that water this thing down?
Yeah, I kind of agree. It might be a little, oversaturation of Star Wars, even for me. But I guess the plan is releasing Episode 7 in 2015, and then they're going to have a spin-off movie come out in 2016, Episode 8 and 17 spin-off, and then and then the next year there's going to be another movie. I guess that's the plan. We'll see how it turns out.
All right, so let's look at inside this trailer. The first shot is a stormtrooper, and he's played by an African-American, and this actually created a lot of consternation and controversy on the internet, which was surprising to me because, number one, I guess I just never thought a stormtrooper had to be a white guy or a British guy.
Right.
That seems kind of bizarre that this became a controversy.
Yeah, I didn't even give it a second thought. When I found out John Boyega was going to be in the movie, before even seeing the trailer, he's a great actor. I've seen him in Attack the Block, which is a fantastic movie everybody should check out. But yeah, and then I started reading the YouTube comments, and I'm like, where are these people coming from? But the good thing about it is that they're a minority. These people that have a problem with it, they're a minority, and honestly, they're an endangered species. They're going to die off someday. He's an amazing actor, and anybody that sees the color in it, I can't wrap my head around thinking that way. It's puzzling.
Yeah, because we've never seen the body color of a stormtrooper ever. No stormtrooper has ever taken off, and we don't know if John Boyega is a true stormtrooper or, as you had mentioned, maybe one of the rebels that had thrown on the uniform. But we've never seen the skin color of a stormtrooper. So in Star Wars, presumably or theoretically, every one of them could have been an African-American.
Sure, that would be funny. That would be a funny turn, huh? To all the people that have a problem with it.
Yeah. So let's go forward to the droid. It's kind of like a sphere-y ball right now with an R2-D2 head on top of it. People are a little worried that this is kind of an Ewok-esque type twist on the droids. You're saying, take a long view. Don't be worried about this. We only saw 10 seconds.
Right. I mean, if you saw R2-D2 for 2 seconds in a trailer from 1977, you'd probably be like, "What is that trash can looking thing?" You know. From the ball standpoint, like everybody's calling it the soccer ball droid, which is kind of funny. It's on a desert planet, which technically it makes sense. You know, if you have little, office chair wheels rolling around the desert, you're not going to get very far. But a soccer ball droid, I mean, schematically it makes sense to roll around on a desert planet. I'm excited to see it, honestly. I don't think they're going to cheese it up too much.
I thought it was pretty cool as well. My first inclination was, okay, that's way closer to the droids in the original Star Wars than we saw anything in the prequels. But I will say, I thought your rationale was a little hypocritical because you said, let's take a long view. Let's not jump to conclusions. Don't just be cynical to be cynical. Let's be optimistic. And at the same time, isn't there every reason to be cynical and pessimistic because the last 3 movies were such trash that, I mean, you could look at a trailer and go, well, how could we read too much into any of this?
Yeah, no, I completely see your point. I'm a very optimistic guy in life completely. Yeah, I guess it is a little hypocritical. You can't say don't trash the trailer too much, be happy about it. But I guess you got to find an even medium there. Something, yeah, I guess you got me.
Well, I think where it is that the bar is set so low, right? I mean, just from the trailer, you can tell it's better than the prequels.
Absolutely. Just, the camera work, even 2 seconds of camera work makes, the prequels look like soap operas. The way they were shot, it was just shot, reverse shot, reverse shot. Everybody's sitting on a couch, But yeah, it looks exciting. It looks way more exciting than the prequels.
The shot that hooked me was the X-Wing shot because it's that low camera angle and it's coming horizontally across the landscape. There was just no shot like that in the prequels, and there wasn't really a shot like that in the originals either. The Millennium Falcon shot is a little bit closer to what we saw in some shots of the original films, but that X-Wing shot, we didn't really see it, and if that's the look of the Star Wars, I think automatically it's a win.
Yeah, me too. That shot, it looks frantic and intense. It looks like, those X-Wings are trying to get somewhere at a quick pace to do something. And that's kind of like J.J. Abrams, filmmaking style. Did you see the new Star Trek reboot?
No, I didn't, but I heard that it was kind of perfect. Like it had balanced the respect for the old films and whatnot, but it felt quick and modern.
Right, and that's kind of why I have so much faith in J.J. Abrams is because, in interviews he said, I was never a Star Trek fan. I never watched it. I only watched Star Wars. So when he was given the Star Trek franchise, you can kind of see where, his influence is. The new Star Trek movies are a lot more like Star Wars than Star Trek ever was,
And I guess giving the franchise to J.J. Abrams, or at least this film, is really important from a generational standpoint because it takes kind of a fanboy that grew up with Star Wars to really appreciate and bring to life what originally was. Like, George Lucas clearly lost the connection with what had made it great, or maybe never even realized, as you said. So to put it in JJ's hands, again, you have to be optimistic because if he feels like we all feel, then at least there's going to be like the homage to what made it great.
Exactly. Yep. At least it's going to look like he tried. In the prequels, it didn't even look like he tried. I mean, Lucas sits in front of a big green screen in his director's chair sipping his coffee. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was though there was a lot of talk that they were going to use way more models like the original and less CGI. And from the trailer, you couldn't really tell that. It seemed like it was primarily CGI.
Yeah, I think they built a lot of sets out in, I can't remember where they filmed Tatooine, but a lot of models and sets, large scale. They built a large scale Falcon, a few large scale X-wings. So I guess it's unavoidable to not use CG, in today's day and age. Quicker, cheaper. But yeah, I hope they use a lot more practical effects than they have in the past with the prequels.
What's your biggest concern about this franchise moving forward?
Ooh, probably a good villain. My concern is that they won't have a good villain. The prequels, there's so many villains. None of them are developed. They're kind of flat and boring. I just hope they really, they have one central villain that shakes the foundation of, the galaxy, and everybody can kind of rally to defeat him or her. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Good idea or bad idea to have Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher as part of the new ones?
I guess it's unavoidable. I guess it's a good idea. It all depends on how they're used. I honestly don't want to see them for more than maybe 20 minutes, just kind of to kickstart the story, hand over the franchise to a new younger generation that we can follow. But it's all in how they're used. If it's tasteful, I'm 100% on board.
So, what makes you worried about including them?
That it'll feel gimmicky, like just in the new Indiana Jones, they kind of threw Harrison Ford out there, and it didn't really, fit the swashbuckling raider that we knew. I just don't want the film to be like, hey, remember this character? Remember that guy? Remember that guy? It would just feel like fan appeasement, feel like they're pushing what we already know onto us, when, in my opinion, I want new and fresh and a whole new cast to get behind and look forward to in the future.
Are you going to watch, or have you already watched, the Star Wars Holiday Special from 1978?
Oh, I have a review of it on my YouTube channel. I usually watch it every year. It's almost like a sadomasochistic thing where I get pleasure from pain, It's almost, it's become a ritual. Every year I pop it in and have a few beers and give it a good laugh. But yeah, I haven't done that yet this year, but I plan on doing it.
The story of it is so awesome because it was a 2-hour special, I think, right, in 77 or 78?
Yeah, I think it was 78, about an hour and a half long, yeah.
So, and it played on CBS, and back in those days, if you had missed it, there was no other way to watch it. Nobody had VCRs, right? And so then, and Lucas refused to release it, and he wanted it buried, right? Because to give people the summation, it was like the Chewbacca family was celebrating Christmas, kind of.
It was Life Day. They were celebrating life, which is funny. I made a Life Day Christmas sweater, and I've sold hundreds of them. People love it, ironically,
Yeah, and it was like Mrs. Chewbacca and Mr. Chewbacca, and the Chewbacca kids were celebrating Life Day, right?
Yep, and they're all just yelling at each other. That's the whole thing, pretty much.
Yeah, and so Lucas is so embarrassed of this, and he never wants to see the light of day. And probably for 10 years, you could never find it or have it. And then it starts circulating black market on, I guess, kind of hand-to-hand, maybe through mail and catalogs on VHS?
Yeah, that's kind of how it was passed along for a while. Probably flea markets quite a bit.
Right.
Conventions, But... Yeah. And now, nowadays anybody can go and find it, probably on YouTube. I have a copy of it. Whenever I watch it, it still has the commercials, so that's kind of fun, a fun little aspect from it.
Yeah, and so you can watch, I think, all of it on YouTube. If not, you can watch the bulk of it on YouTube. That's how I've seen it. Yeah. And it's so remarkably awful, but it's kind of like Troll 2, where it's so bad it has become kind of a cult phenomenon. And this is the perfect time of year to break out your laptop, have a few beers, and watch the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Yep, I would highly recommend it.
All right, so the Twitter handle is @HelloGreedo. That's where you can find also the Facebook page. And let's see, YouTube, is it official Hello Greedo?
No, YouTube, it's just Hello Greedo, and then the Instagram is official_Hello Greedo.
That's right. That's exactly right. So good feedback so far for you on the trailer and the trailer review and everything you've been doing?
Yeah, everything's been great. Since the trailer came out, viewership has raised like 450%, which is insane. But it's people are excited about Star Wars, man, and it's great to see.
I would say that overall, there's a lot of enthusiasm. I would say the pie chart, it seems like, in terms of critics, media, and fans, would you say about 90% positive on the trailer?
I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. The negative kind of ridiculous. A lot of it is the John Boyega complaint, which I don't understand. People don't like the new lightsaber. A lot of people don't like that. But yeah, overall, it's very positive.
I could see not liking the new lightsaber just because it feels a little prequel-ish.
It does, and I'm over the gimmick saber. There's so many variations of the original lightsaber. It seems very gimmicky. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it's used.
All right, so check out Hello Greedo's Facebook page, youtube.com/Hello Greedo for the official review of theirs for the new trailer, and then, as you mentioned, the Instagram as well. Dude, it was great to catch up. I'm glad that you're fired up for Star Wars, and maybe when the film is released, we'll do this again.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Thanks for having me on. It was a pleasure.
All right, we remind you that you can subscribe to the Permission Granted podcast on iTunes as well as on YouTube, youtube.com/The DA Show. So thanks to Hello Greedo for the last segment. When I asked him, Mraz joins me now. When I asked him before if he'd like to go by, a real name,
right,
who runs the Hello Greedo website, he said, no, we'd like to keep this anonymous. So I think whether it's his wife or his girlfriend or whatever, I don't think or maybe his coworkers or boss, I don't think he wants to be out there as, John Johnson from Green Bay.
I love that, too, because in his YouTube videos, he wears, I guess, what is it, a stormtrooper mask? Is that what we call that?
Yes.
So it's kind of like that Dead Mouse artist where you don't exactly know what they look like and keeping that anonymous, which is nice.
Hello Greedo's kind of like the Banksy of Star Wars, the Star Wars videos. So I asked you what'd you think of the conversation, and you thought it was a geek out.
Exactly. It was nerd on nerd.
Nerd on nerd crime.
Nerd on nerd crime. But I know there's a ton of nerds out there, so you guys are very much into it. I mean, it's not my cup of tea, but you know what? You might have sold me in at least trying to give it another recheck out.
Well, so here's the thing. I'm always concerned about doing a show that has a certain broad appeal because I know how niche-y and narrow-minded many hosts can be about the stuff that they like.
Right.
So that's why anybody who knows me, I love soccer. I play soccer when I can regularly in a rec league, but I realize that you start talking about it on the air, and people's eyes glaze over, and they come out with you with pitchforks. So you have to find general.
By the way, soccer and Star Wars really.
Yeah,
it's a wonder you're single.
It's not exactly your combination of middle America, but so when we talk about topics to do here on the show or on the podcast, I think about it, and I said, look. Me talking Star Wars, I couldn't do this on the air, but the podcast allows us to be a little bit more niche-y.
Exactly.
But also, Star Wars is kind of a bigger niche than your normal geek niches. I don't know if I could talk about specific comic books or, certain movie titles, but even if you don't like Star Wars, you probably have some general idea about Star Wars and about the reboot and about the passion behind it.
Of course, because it's bigger. It's a cultural thing. Star Wars has its own society behind it. It's crazy.
Right. And because now there's been two generations of films, the first films of the 70s and 80s, then the second set of films, I guess, in the early to mid-2000s, and now a third set of films. Now it's not just like 35-year-old guys that grew up watching them are the only people that know them anymore.
No, matter of fact, you'll probably now get to a point where 20 years from now you have old generations, middle generations, and younger generations argue over which Star Wars generation was better.
Yeah, right. Although I don't know if anybody could win if they love the prequels. Oh, those things sucked so bad.
Boy, you won't let it go.
I mean, and only because of this, because I remember being excited that there was going to be new Star Wars. This was kind of a blast from the past. Right. A lot like how the Jeter thing was important to you because it represented your childhood.
Right, it was a passage of time.
So I talked about this at the beginning of the podcast. I mean, me and my brother we loved Star Wars growing up. We had all the figures and we watched the movies. And it was just like, probably between the ages of, let's say, 7 and 11 or 5 and 11. This was like a huge thing for me. So when they were coming back out, I was like, you tap into that.
Right.
It was like when you watch, have there been any movie reboots? The Karate Kid? I'm trying to think, like recently, Transformers. Were you a Transformers guy?
I wasn't. I've watched them. I'm not a big Transformers guy.
But
basically a redo. As a kid,
A-Team. See, there's been all these like reboots of movies or TV shows or children's stuff. Anyway, you tap into that.
Right.
And then you get them, and you're like, oh, my God, this sucks so bad. And you were so hopeful because it tapped into something that you used to love. And you're like, oh, my God, this sucks so bad. That's why it's hard to let it go.
Right. It almost makes you question whether the first ones were as good as they were to begin with.
Yeah, if you're just like crushing a young person's spirit because they are just so awful.
Well, that's never good. So you're excited now for the revival. You're hoping for a rebirth.
Kind of. If you listen to the conversation between me and Hello Greedo, Hello Greedo.
Hello, Greedo.
Hello, Greedo. He's a little bit more optimistic. I have a natural cynicism towards Hollywood because they've ruined so many things. It's hard to find things that they've made better. They've ruined almost everything.
Yeah, but visually, now forget the storyline, visually with the technology we have these days, might be better than ever.
Yeah, except the original Star Wars were done all with models, and because there was such an attention to detail that it really looked real because it was models. It was just miniature. So, I don't know, CGI, have there been movies where there's been a lot of CGI and you're like, this is stupid because it doesn't look anything like reality, or kind of you glossed over because things look like CGI and we just take it for granted?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, you're using big words now like CGI. I got to be honest, I don't even know what that means.
Computer graphics.
You got to have to say computer graphics when you talk to me. I guess Toy Story?
Yeah, that's like Pixar. Yeah, I don't know. Hollywood is so bad now. I was actually going through my Netflix queue the other day. I've not updated my Netflix queue in probably 6 months.
That's not pretty. The Netflix selection for Hollywood is not pretty.
So I went to the Netflix Top 100, right? They have the 100 most popular movies. And I was like, okay, I'll pick some and I'll put it up to the top of my queue. I got through about 85 to 90 of the top 100, and I said, I've either seen this, and I haven't seen a ton of movies, or this looks terrible. There was almost nothing in 100 films that I wanted to see.
No, they have like Medea Goes to Jail, Guilt Trip. I'm really not, you're not talking about the Green Mile out there or whatever that was. Yeah.
Yeah, I chose Neighbors. Is that it? Where, is it Zac Efron? Who's the kid?
Yeah, Zac Efron with Seth Rogen,
yes,
that one?
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
That's very funny.
Okay, that's the next one in my queue.
Yes.
There was almost
Saw that 2 nights before my wedding. That was my last date before being married. It was a good movie.
There is almost nothing on there that I wanted to see.
No, I hate to bash Netflix, but every time I go to Netflix, I'm like, what am I even going through here? There's nothing I'm interested in.
I think Netflix is an awesome service. It's just that Hollywood is putting out slop after schlock every single film.
That's very true. That's very true.
Although I'm sure there's really good serious films that I'm not. I mean, people are going to listen to this and go, there's this and there's this and that. It's just the general feeling when I see movies come out in Hollywood in the movies is I don't want to see that.
And it's the same goofy, stupid stuff over and over again with a different name and a different scenario.
Yeah, because it's too expensive to make films now. And so they have to go with what they think is going to make a lot of movies, which is why Too Fast, Too Furious or Fast and the Furious has like 19 installments.
Yeah, I think Saw ended up with like 11, right?
Yeah, right. Like Scary Movie is still putting out movies,
yeah,
right?
It's almost like the Now CDs, you know? They're up to Now 714.
It's like they find what's going to make Transformers. Everybody told me that the last two, I saw the first one. I liked it, but not enough to watch the second one. The second one I heard was really long and
I didn't like the second one.
Too complex. Then they made a third one with Marky Mark. Is this right?
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
Everyone tells me that one's terrible. And I'm sure they're going to make that's either 3 or 4, and I'm sure they're going to make more.
It's just, hey, whatever gets money in their pocket. It's all about the money, D-A-M-O-N-E-Y.
I mean, is that the most valuable drop that we have in terms of learning a life lesson?
It applies to almost everything.
It applies to almost everything. All right, so coming up, I hear that you're not only going to talk to Brock, but also a Bully Berman in the mix?
Oh, yeah, we got Bully Berman in the mix. This is going to be probably the most chaotic side B of the Permission Granted podcast that we've ever had so far.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to it. Permission Granted podcast, side B coming up. Find us on iTunes and on YouTube at youtube.com/The DA Show.
All right, welcome to Side B of the Permission Granted podcast. The producer's side here as we sit in episode 16. That means we've hit the 4-month mark. I don't know how the heck that happened. And we have, of course, Kenny Brock, the former associate producer of the DA Show with us. Kenny, what's going on?
Sure, what's happening, my man?
Nothing is happening. The same old is happening. I also would like to announce that we have a special guest on Side B today. It's nice to have Bully Berman here with us. So we have a little three-way. I think this is the first time we've done this on Side B. Is that correct?
I just want to say this is not my first three-way.
I'm always into the menage a trois.
Oh, boy. Okay, so things are going to get frisky here. Obviously, we just heard D.A. do the interview here as he's very stoked for the new Star Wars trailer that's come out.
Nerd alert.
Loser.
Now, see, that's what I wanted to get into, because obviously a lot of the people who are going to be listening to this podcast are probably going to be big Star Wars fans, mainly jacked up for this interview. Are any of you guys Star Wars fans?
No. And if I ever become a Star Wars fan, you have my permission to punch me in the face.
Well, Jay leaves it on like Kenny. I think I know where you stand on this. Star Wars fan?
Yeah, no, I've never even seen a single clip of a Star Wars movie, so.
Okay, now I am not either. So are we all in agreement that DA is a big nerd?
Was that ever in question?
Oh, boy. Listen, everybody has their likes. I'm a foodie. Kenny's a tattooey.
Whoa.
We in the business called
You are
ink.
You are not a foodie, bro. Foodies are people who can, recognize eloquent, delectable food. You're just a fatty.
Oh, hold on.
Confuse the two.
Time out. I'm not a fatty. First of all, I'm chunky. I'm chubby. We've been over this. Just because you're not here in front of me doesn't mean...
KBJ, I just want you to know, since you have departed, I will say this. He is very close to his playing weight of 375.
He made a joke today.
There with Schwartz, though?
No, listen. I'm a lot slimmer than Schwartzo. But basically, Jay came in and obviously noticed all the weight loss I had and was very nice to compliment me.
Yeah, because Berman barely works at CBS Sports Radio anymore.
I will say, back on the air Wednesday night, as of now, tonight, back on my night shifts, and I couldn't be more miserable about it.
That's good. That's good to have Jay. That's good to have Jay going. So, yeah, we really stuck to this plan of calling DA a nerd out of the gate as I'll try to reel this thing back in.
Can I ask you both a question?
Okay.
Yeah. Go for it.
Do you think it's a generational thing? Because I will say this. I am actually older than DA, so I might be the exception.
As your gray hair shows us.
Yes.
For those who don't know, Jay...
Pepper.
Yeah, Jay is as gray gets, and I think he's only like 29 years old.
That's actually not true. I will say this. I am prematurely graying, but I am not in my 20s. And pretty soon will no longer be in my 30s. So it's not like eventually my age will catch up to my looks, which are horrendous.
Oh, boy. So getting back to the generational thing. With Star Wars.
Okay. But I'm the exception here because I'm not a loser. Star Wars is for losers. But people my age, everybody's in love with it. And
was that the thing growing up? Like, was it cool to like Star Wars?
The first Star Wars came out before I was born, okay?
All right.
Let's just get that straight.
Okay, but you're saying it comes from a generational thing.
I will say this. I do recall when Return of the Jedi was in the theater. I do, and I did see it in the theater. But those are the first three, and those were standalone. Those were epic. The what technically is 1, 2, and 3. They were prequels. Came out, I guess, 10 years ago, roughly, and those movies were laughable.
Which was DA's point here with the interview. This guy George Lucas, I guess, kind of ruined the Star Wars name.
George Lucas.
Dude, stop talking.
Is he not a guy?
He is a guy, but you referred to him as just some Nimrod.
He's not some bozo walking down the street that was just like, oh wait, you know what? Let's do this with Star Wars. The guy was like, think of the guy who basically invented bacon, and that's what George Lucas is to the Star Wars community.
Wait, he invented bacon?
No, he did not invent bacon. I believe.
I'm confused now.
He created a subculture, which is just amazing. Whether he intentionally did so or not, he did. So the fact that Star Wars is what it is because of him. That doesn't mean that these movies are going to be good. I will say this, though. I'm sure the special effects will be better than they ever will be.
Well, but technology dictates that.
That's the point. That doesn't mean the story's great. And correct me if I'm wrong, KBJ, you're closer to a nerd than I am. I believe the stories have been written already. So we actually, if you were familiar with the stories, you know what they are because Lucas has already written the story. I don't know what they are because I don't care and I'm not a loser. But it's not like we won't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, popular to contrary belief, I am actually close to a nerd, but not that nerdy. I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. I only know the name George Lucas because I've seen him in the papers and online a bunch. So,
and he invented bacon.
He may not have written the stories. I have no idea. I couldn't care less because I'm not going to waste my $17 to go to the movies, and I'm not going to waste a Saturday afternoon in the middle of the summer watching them either.
I probably wouldn't waste my time either because I'm not into the sci-fi thing. I was never into Star Trek, Star Wars, which I guess there's like a divide with that.
Well, don't lump Star Wars and Trek. I know the Trekkies and those guys are very
they're like
a battle line in the sand.
They're like my people feuding if you like Burger King and McDonald's. You know what I mean? You got to pick one or the other.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I always take the original chicken sandwich.
Let
over
me
anything.
just say this: have you ever not gone into a Burger King because you said I'm more of a McDonald's guy?
No, but I play both fences. I'm sure there are people who are loyal at both fast food restaurants. That's the way this works.
Get lost.
Are fat people loyal like that?
Fat people are extremely loyal. Fat people are the most loyal people in the world. But then again, they're also easily enticed. So maybe they aren't as loyal because you know
that's what I'm saying. Like, oh, you know what? I can maybe go for a McFlurry today.
Good point.
No, you know what? My fat ass needs a triple Whopper.
Because if I'm at Outback enjoying some Aussie cheese fries and a Chili's waiter comes in, basically puts some Southwestern egg rolls under my nose and gets me to freaking follow him out of there like a bread trail, I'm doing it.
Hey, so you're going to Outback Steakhouse for cheese fries?
Have you ever had the Aussie cheese fries, Jay?
No, I've never.
I don't go to Outback. I live in New York City, where you can probably get some of the greatest steak in the world.
Yeah,
so I would
rats running everywhere.
I would never let myself pay for Outback. If somebody wanted to take me and pay for it.
I'm not saying you go there for a great steak, but you get the bloomin' onion, the Aussie cheese fries, the chocolate thunder from down under. It's delicious. That's a great dessert. Yeah. Oh, boy. And Jay Berman has just farted on the podcast. We have a permission-granted podcast first.
I've had gas all day, which is like any other day.
And now you see why our listeners get a little tired of Berman very easily.
Yesterday.
Bacon gas?
Wicked.
Oh, wicked. Yeah.
Wicked. Brutal. Like sitting in the cube, curling over my stomach, trying not to lift my leg so nothing accidentally squeezes out bad.
Oh, boy. That's really fascinating. You know, we brought up on the show this week as Billy Giacalone is sitting in now for the now debunked Kenny Brock, and I passed my first gas past him, and you know what? He basically sat there, and he didn't flinch. It was as if he says he has a constant stuffy nose.
Hold on.
So we might have found the perfect match for me.
No. How many shows has Giacalone filled in for Brock since Brock's departure?
Only at the time of taping, only like 2.
Oh, 2.
Yeah. Okay. So
longer than you ever waited.
You haven't farted in three shows?
No. Not to say I haven't. I'm very good, and this is probably one of my best skills at trying to figure out a way to let a silent go and a loudy go. And
you are not good at that. I've worked with you for 2 years in close quarters.
Well, because
I got coming out of the back end.
No, because I got comfortable with you, and I knew basically dealer's choice. Whatever my body chose would fire away.
Getting comfortable has nothing to do with you sitting forward and then nearly soiling your drawers because of what accidentally just came out.
Let me just say
this
this.
Is disgusting,
There's no
by the way.
dealer's choice.
This is not disgusting. There's something wrong with you if you don't enjoy a good fart conversation. But I'll also say this. There are very
not
few...
here, not now.
Right. There are very few places on this earth. There are very few people on this earth that I wouldn't cut one in front of. And that's just how I roll.
Well, very good.
I'm with you.
That's very good.
I'll fart in front of anybody.
Well, Kenny, you had an interesting, to kind of maybe get this not as disgusting, you had sent me and DA in a group text this week, not to hammer home the fact that you have a new job or whatever, but they're feeding you like kings over there, huh?
Yeah, it's a lot different than the radio side. Like, we actually have perks, and they actually, recognize that we do good work. It's really bizarre. On nights that we're taping in the studio, so Tuesday nights, Friday nights, Saturdays, and Sundays, there's always meals for everybody, and there's not a pizza or something like that. Like last week, the first night we had chicken cordon bleu, which was a little dry, but I'm not going to really complain about it.
I mean, you can't be complaining.
No, and then Friday night they had some steak, and they had a little surface.
See, this is ridiculous. You guys are like on death row getting the great last meals here. Basically, we're scrapping together, hoping that an extra free bag of Chex Mix falls out of the vending machine here.
Well, right. Well, that's why you just send the big old bear Schwartzo.
Schwartzo, yeah. For those who don't realize, Schwartzo's very big at shaking the vending machine and getting some freebies out. I mean, he's
But he
waiting
tries
for
to
a good
hawk 'em off
blackout.
himself.
I'm sure that's never happened.
No, I've seen him. There was once a blackout here, and Schwartz shook that thing like old Mother Hubbard, and he got about 4 Diet Cokes out of there, a couple sleeves of Oreos. If you ever want to be trapped somewhere with only vending machines, no power, no food, Schwartz is the guy you want with you because he'll make sure you're fed and are constantly hydrated.
He's the foxhole guy. So, yeah, no, we did do that. So then what happens is, we get into work, like studio days we work late. Last week I worked till like midnight, and then I worked till 2 a.m. the one night.
Right.
So we get like dinner at 6:30, and then about 9:30 we get like a little snack time. And the one night they had pizza, and the next night they had some other different snacks laying out. So it's pretty great.
What's the toilet paper situation there? Because clearly that's going to be a problem with all these meals.
That's a good point.
Actually, much better than the radio side as well. Everything's better than the radio side. I gotta say, like, not to be that guy, I didn't want to like it over here. I like it here.
I got to ask you, since it's the week of the 12 DAs, do you have any idea what they are?
Yeah, good point. Kenny, do you know? You don't know the final list of how it's been put together, right?
No, of course not.
Do you know the finalists?
You guys can exclude me from the conversation, as I knew that you freaking would as soon as I walked out the door.
No.
The two of you turned your back on me.
Hold on. Are you saying that me and DA stabbed you in the back? Because I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah.
I am going to promise you, DA doesn't even know the list.
So you made the list?
We've discussed this on the show. I have calculated my vote, your vote, DA's vote.
You don't even know what my vote is.
I had your sheet.
I threw my paper out.
No.
Yeah.
I had 3 sheets in there.
Yeah, one of them was Schwartz's, not mine.
So you're telling me, well, then I still had Schwartz's, so how did I get 3 sheets?
You don't have my sheet because I threw my sheet
So
out
now you're calling controversy on the 12 DAs for Christmas.
Well, I'm just saying that there's some fudging of numbers going on there, like some other things.
No.
Behind the scenes to get numbers fudged.
Well,
I'm just saying.
All I'm saying is there was 3 sheets plus DA's vote he gave me plus the fan vote, and they were all calculated equally. So we've been rattling off the 12 DAs. I have the list. I'm not going to reveal them to the listeners. You have to listen every night, but it's a solid list. Do you want to guess who's number 1?
Oh, yeah, it's Will in Baltimore, and if it's not, I'm going to call the whole show an abomination.
Okay, so in 2 weeks, when number 1 is released, whether it is or isn't Will in Baltimore, we will have this discussion on the Permission Granted podcast.
No, that's a tease for 2 weeks from now.
How about that? Now, that is going to key you in. As you know, you can subscribe to the Permission Granted podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Kenny, you want to do that plug?
Not really. You can also go to youtube.com/The DA Show. DA will upload some sort of video that he makes during his free time. Once the iTunes podcast is uploaded, you can also check us out at facebook.com/The DA Show. You don't have to be a member of Facebook to check out this Facebook page. It actually just does a website. And check us out on Twitter at KRockJR, at Sean Morash CBS, and at at J Berman.
Maybe there should be a fraud Bully Berman account. And that was a very good plug by you. So the point being, in 2 weeks, you want to listen. Because we will recap in a couple weeks the 12 DAs and find out if you had problems with them and go back over that debate.
Well, I already have a problem with the list. Gobblegate was at 11? Are you serious?
And it was hysterical when it was played. But yeah, Gobblegate was at 11. You could make the debate that it should have been higher up. I totally agree.
That's a top 10.
To be honest, if I remember correctly in calculating, the fans didn't love Gobblegate, from what I remember.
Let's be honest, the fans aren't always the smartest.
So kind of like voting on the All-Star game. Maybe the fans shouldn't have had equal say. Is that what you were saying to all our DA aliens out there?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Maybe they shouldn't have had a say at all. Maybe that's just like a superficial thing. Like, oh, okay, yeah, thanks for the vote, and then not use it.
Interesting. See, we went equal billing. And I worked hard on the list. So we've been having a lot of fun
Apparently
with
not
the 12
equal
DAs.
billing because my paper is not there.
So what? Did Casper the Ghost magically write a paper and slip it into my work folder?
I'm telling you that. You don't have my paper.
Is that what happened? Is that what you're telling me? That the numbers have been fudged?
Well, you've been known to fudge a number.
No, I haven't. I've been very good at math lately. I've been learning harder, studying better.
Yeah. Are you making better Excel sheets for your Market Watch segment?
I am. I'm making much better Excel sheets. I'm excelling at my job, is what's going on here.
So, Sean, we are now a little over a week removed from Turkey Day. What would you say? Are you plus, minus 15 right now? What's your situation? Assess the damage post-mortem Thanksgiving.
We had discussed this in the immediacy of Thanksgiving on the show. I had gained 6 pounds the day after, but it's taken me now about a week and I would say I am back down to minus 15 from my pre-shake weight. So I'm back down to where I want to be. So, yeah, I did a number on Thanksgiving, of course, like anybody would. But to be honest, I think my metabolism has sped up enough because of what I've been doing with working out and all that, no, I'm not a disaster as you would expect.
That's not bad. I'll give you this. And I'm a little bit disappointed in myself. Thanksgiving,
right.
1 helping, 1 serving.
Well, how did that happen?
I was completely full after I ate.
Yeah, but did you overplay your hand early with like the provolone and stuff like that?
Oh, we had a nice little, charcuterie board hanging out there with some different kind of appetizers, finger foods, and cheese. Charcuterie board.
I don't know what that is.
I know. Look it up. Well, you're a foodie. I would expect you to know that.
A charcuterie board. I like that word, charcuterie. You have a char, which is nice, and a cooterie, which is also nice.
Exactly. You would love a charcuterie board if you actually know what it was. Anyway, so we had, that whole spread, and then, dinner came, and I got a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I got about 3/4 of the way through my portion, and I thought I was going to throw up. It was not a good situation, and I'm very, very disappointed, but it made for more leftovers.
Oh, that's key. I really didn't have a big-time leftover game the next day, but yeah, that's the thing you got to live for. I mean, Berman, you a big leftover guy on Thanksgiving?
Nope, never been. I hate leftovers.
What? Why do you hate
You're
leftovers?
the worst person on earth.
Yeah, why would you hate leftovers? That doesn't make any sense.
The only leftovers I like is pizza.
What? You eat it cold though, right?
Yeah, right out of the tin foil, right into the mouth.
Oh, boy.
Cold pasta the next day?
No.
I'm not a big cold pasta guy.
And
either.
I get in trouble with the old ball and chain because she has leftovers and thinks I'm a food waster because I don't like leftovers. It's not my thing.
Well, yeah. You should give it to the homeless then. Do something nice for once.
You give it to the homeless. What do I look like?
I mean, you're asking Jay to do something nice for somebody. He's the most selfish, pig I've known in my life.
That absolutely is true. 100% true. On the money. Could not be more accurate.
I mean, jeez. I mean, what a disaster. But, yeah, I mean, that's good. That's good. So it was good going down and seeing your mom and all that stuff. You had good food. It was all good.
Yeah, it came back. I ended up doing like a majority of the cooking on Thanksgiving. So
did you cook the bird?
I assisted with the cooking of the bird, and then we also had it. We had an additional bird. We had a chicken, and it was a
chicken.
Cajun chicken
Get lost.
that my uncle made, and we cooked for I think it was 7.5 hours. I just ate a Cajun chicken leftover sandwich. Ridiculously good.
See, that sounds good, but that's an odd. I don't mind the secondary meat on Thanksgiving. Like a lot of people go with a ham, maybe even a pork loin, but a Cajun chicken is a real. What are we in New Orleans?
Well, dude, you should. My uncle's stuffing is next level good.
Well, it's not stovetop though.
Cranberry. No, dude, get out of here with the stovetop. My mom's homemade stuffing will literally just blow stovetop out of the water.
Well, then why isn't it boxed and sold in millions nationwide like stovetop is?
I don't know, because they have basically, there's a lot of collusion going on amongst the stuffing community.
There's stuffing collusion.
Yeah, that basically is what you're saying.
Collusion.
Honestly, you're ignorant if you think that stovetop is the best stuffing.
All right, well,
if I can make stovetop in 30 seconds, then we got a problem.
Okay, you know what? You have your mom bake some of her stuffing. You get it to me, and I'll do it.
That's definitely not happening.
I'll do an honest taste test.
Not ever.
What do you mean, not ever? Okay, so obviously you're scared that your mom's stuffing will not match up to the wonders of stovetop. That's what I'm taking out of this.
I'll tell you what. You get your mom to make the stuffing. You have her bring it up here. You can have her give the stuffing to Mraz. I'll hang out with your mom.
Don't you have another update to do?
Pretty soon. That's why you better lock this thing up.
All right. Well, that'll do it for a pretty wacky side B.
It's a seamless edit right there.
Seamless edit. Episode 16 of the Permission Granted podcast. As we mentioned, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, the whole deal. Bully Berman, want to thank you for coming in, basically making this a ruckus and a zoo here in Side B. Thanks for joining us.
Let me just say, thank you for having me, and I hope that there aren't 15 more podcasts before I get back on this thing.
No, there will be 17. Kenny, thank you. Have a good week. And everybody, Kenny, as Kenny always says, it's championship weekend here, college football. Enjoy that. Enjoy the NFL. Happy holidays. Get your shopping done. We'll catch you on the flip side.